hold space as the music plays.
Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignagara Dhura Hamare. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignagara Dhura Hamare. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Omega Dantaya Vidmahi Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignagara Dhura Hamare. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignagara Dhura Hamare. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Ganapataye Namo Namaha Suklam Bharadram Vishnu Sasivarnam Chaturvujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaye Sarvavignyopashantaye Sarvavignyopashankam Ganapataye Namo Namaha Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha Gam Ganapataye Namo Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo
Namaste.
Welcome.
Welcome to our weekly online satsang. Satsang is a Sanskrit word that means community of truth. Basically, it's a word just to describe spiritual community, wherever two or more people who are on the path of seeking truth, light, come together to share their journey, to share their challenges, their breakthroughs, to support one another. It's an important part of the spiritual journey, coming together with others in community. We're strengthened exponentially when we do that. And even though our journeys, each of our journeys is unique, none of them look exactly like the others, but many of the things that we go through in the process of awakening and transformation parallel each and every person on that path. And so when we share our questions, when we share our breakthroughs, when we share our struggles, it resonates in everybody else. It helps everyone. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for consenting to the journey of awakening and the flowering of the heart and transformation. Truly, it is what the world needs. We are in a global culture of competition, conflict, and war that's been going on for all of known history. And we're right on the verge of shifting into a whole new world that's rooted in cooperation instead of competition, harmony instead of conflict, and peace instead of war. For that to happen, the collective consciousness of humanity needs to shift collectively. That will happen when enough individuals have flowered and we reach some tipping point. When enough people have awakened and flowered, it will tip the entire collective consciousness of humanity. That's our understanding, and that's the understanding of many of the great awakened beings that have been teaching over the last century or so. So, you're part of that wave that's affecting the collective. And this satsang contributes because we're forming a network that crosses continental divides, boundaries of nations, ideologies, religions, just flat out distance. People join our satsangs from the other side of the planet. And that's creating this network of light that affects all of us. I'd like to ask you, those of you who are here now, and anyone that drops in later on this evening or that watches this video recording in the days, weeks, months ahead, give us a like or a love if you're on Facebook Live, because we can go in, and I do go back and I look, who's watched this? Who dropped in tonight? Who watched this tomorrow and the next day and the next day? And we send you special hugs and blessings. And we appreciate that. It's real easy on Facebook Live. You just hit a heart or a thumbs up. If you're on Vimeo, you'd have to enter a comment in the chat, which isn't too much trouble. But we won't know what your screen name means if, like, we had somebody that used Namaste. And, hi, I'm here. I'm Namaste. Well, who's Namaste? It turned out it was somebody we knew real well. So when you make a comment on Vimeo, go ahead and just tell us who you are that's making the comment, and I promise we'll send you extra love and blessings. This coming Sunday is our monthly interfaith communion with the Cosmic Christ. If you're new to that, it's truly interfaith. We invite people of all faiths, of any faith, with no faith, to come and experience the presence of the Cosmic Christ. There are various ways that people relate to Christ. There's Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, whom Christians believe is a human embodiment of the Cosmic Christ. And then there's the Cosmic Christ itself, which has no beginning and no end. It's an aspect of the divine that is pure unconditional love, mercy, and compassion. The Cosmic Christ is the spark of divine light at the heart of everything in creation. people, yes, as the God within, the Christ within, the Paramatma, but also at the center of a planet or a star or a galaxy. At the center of everything, mountains and trees, is a spark of the divine that holds the blueprint for divine transformation and evolution. So a lot of people are experiencing the heart path and the path of unconditional love. It's not new, it's not just Christian. Certainly the Sufi Muslim path is very heart-centered. Mahayana Buddhism, whether we're talking about Zen or Tibetan Buddhism or other forms of Mahayana, that's very much a heart-centered path where people have been experiencing the path of the heart, the path of love for a long, long time. But these days, where there are whole new spiritual paths emerging, spiritual teachers, sometimes referred to New Age, there are many, many New Age seekers that are experiencing God within and the flowering of unconditional love and compassion in the heart. And they may not have any conscious connection to, for instance, the Christian religion for lots of reasons. So in the communions with the Cosmic Christ, we invite everyone to open up and experience the amazing presence of the Cosmic Christ. And you can decide, however you feel about the human incarnation. But I always wanted to do this. I've served Christian communities over the years of various denominations and belief systems, from evangelical to mystical Catholic to Gnostic, very, very different belief systems that center on Christ. And one of the things that always saddened me in the major denominations is that people couldn't just come in and experience the presence of Christ in the Holy Eucharist or in Holy Communion unless they were fully initiated members of the Christian community. Well, so now that I can, we open the door to people of any faith whatsoever. Come and experience this amazing presence, and then let your heart tell you how you feel about it. But that's this coming Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. And the subject would be of interest, I think, to almost anyone. The subject this month, this coming Sunday, is going to be the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And it's a very powerful, illuminating, catalytic meditation where we're going to seek to really open ourselves to the gifts of the Holy Spirit in our own lives. And can't beat that. We've all got our gifts, but the gifts of the divine itself operating through us are just phenomenal. So we invite you to join us on Sunday. Again, if you can't come live, because you're welcome to come and join us physically at Flowering Heart Center. It'll be live streamed, just like tonight, on Facebook and Vimeo, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. It's all over the place out there. And the recording will be up here ongoing. So if you miss it on Sunday altogether, you can come in any day and watch that video and experience the grace and the illumination that's going to come from the teaching on the gifts of the Holy Spirit. So that's what I know.
Yep.
This, in the United States, is called Juneteenth. Most of you, hopefully, if you're in the United States, know what that is. But it's a fairly new national holiday, actually. As a national holiday, it's a holiday that refers to a celebration on June 19th, which was first celebrated in Texas in 1865, when the Civil War came to an end, and General Gordon Granger made a speech in Texas to let all of the African American people in Texas know that they were free and no longer slaves. And that was on June 19th, 1865. And it only became a national holiday, when was that? 2021, 2 years ago. It took a while. But I was reading today that more than a third of the states in the U.S. have declared it a state holiday. It has been declared a national holiday. And about a third or more, maybe 39%, I forget the exact number, of businesses gave people the day off today in celebration. But an end of oppression and slavery is always a good thing.
Yes.
So wanted to mention that today. And I think that's all the news. So we like to open it, as many of you know, to questions on the spiritual journey, about awakening, about divine union, about reincarnation, meditation, about anything pertaining to spirituality and the spiritual path. Best yet, things you're experiencing and would like some clarity, some guidance, some inspiration. And by asking your question, as I shared earlier, it will resonate with everybody. And the answers that come that are inspired by the divine presence help us all. So that's your part to play. And the best satsangs we have are when people actually throw out questions. And we don't care if they're tough or controversial, as long as they're respectful and kind and loving. And while I give you some time to think about that, I've been liking to, rather than waste time going, come on, give me a question, I've been reading quotes from a website called inspiringquotes.com. And I'm on their newsletter list, and I get a list of quotes, at least one every day. If you're willing to put up with that, I love it. I read all these quotes, and they're on various subjects and things famous, a lot of famous people have said about important issues. So here are 13 quotes tonight to help you remember your worth. Our lives take shape according to how we interact with other people, from our families and friends to coworkers and even strangers. By building a mutual channel of kindness and support, we can make a difference and develop fulfilling relationships that not only enrich our existence, but also help to sustain it. In fact, according to one 85-year-old Harvard study, positive relationships are the biggest key to a happy life. And other research indicates that strong social support may even help us live longer. Sometimes, though, we may feel like we're giving someone or something, a friendship, a job, a project, a lot of our time or energy without getting the same back. In those situations, how can we start to rebalance the scales? First and foremost, now listen, first and foremost, we need to find the courage to ask for what we feel is lacking. Whether it's a raise at work or more consistent communication with a loved one. After all, we each deserve to be heard and seen. It may also help to build our own confidence, looking inward and being able to validate ourselves rather than looking to other people for their opinions. It means we'll always then have a solid foundation. With that in mind, here are 13 quotes about self-belief and speaking up to remind you that you're always enough, whether other people see it or not. And before I read these 13 quotes, I want to give credit where credit is due. That little article I just read and the compilation of quotes was put together by Paula Bennett. Paula Bennett. I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying Bennett. she's a writer based in Brooklyn, New York, and writes a fortnightly newsletter that treasures the mundane, called Small Histories. Find her on Instagram at Paula Bennett. And she spells her name Paola. If you try to look for her, that's probably going to be important. Okay, so let me go back to the top and let's listen to these. First of all, don't forget, a person's greatest emotional need is to feel appreciated. H. Jackson Brown Jr., author. You know, if we remember that in each moment of interaction, that would change everything. Next quote. I will go on adventuring, changing, opening my mind and my eyes, refusing to be stamped and stereotyped. The thing is to free oneself, to let it find its dimensions, not be impeded. Virginia Woolf. I lost myself when I learned how to please. Glennon Doyle. I lost myself when I learned how to please others. What the superior man seeks is in himself. What the small man seeks is in others. Confucius. You alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody. Maya Angelou. Sometimes you don't see the millions of people who accept you for what you are. All you notice is the person who doesn't. Listen to that again. Sometimes you don't see the millions of people who accept you for what you are. All you notice is the person who doesn't. Jodi Picoult. Isn't that true? Knowing how to be solitary is central to the art of loving. When we can be alone, we can be with others without using them as a means of escape. Bell Hooks. Public opinion is a weak tyrant compared with our own private opinion. Our private opinion can be quite tyrannical with us. When we don't ask for what we want and need, we discount ourselves. Melody Beattie, author. You have no control over people's taste, so focus on staying true to your own. Tim Gunn, fashion critic. Confidence is not, they will like me. Confidence instead is, I'll be fine if they don't. Christina Grimmie Singer. And you will find you have fallen in love with your own vision, which you may never have realized you had. And you will lose some friends and lovers and realize you don't miss them. And new ones will find you and cherish you. Audre Lorde. You are a very special person. There is only one like you in the whole world. There's never been anyone exactly like you before, and there never will be again. Fred Rogers. And a question. Ekaterina writes, can we have physical changes because of spiritual growth or because of the times we are living? Yes, very definitely. Everything in the physical world is a manifestation of the Spirit. Spirit is source. Spirit emits, speaks forth, proclaims, pours out vibration. So out of the stillness of spirit comes vibration. That's energy. Energy coagulates into solidity. So we start with very high frequency, which would be like pure light, to more denser frequencies that can be registered as various kinds of energy. And then you've got matter, which is simply energy slowed down to the point that it becomes denser and supposedly solid. There's nothing solid. Suzanne points this out a lot, that there's more, energy?
Empty space.
There's more empty space between atoms and subatomic particles than there is in so-called solid matter. And there is virtually infinite power in the space, the empty space between things. The stuff we don't see. It's sort of like missing the millions of people that accept you for what you are and just seeing that one person that doesn't like you, that judges you. Only this is relative to physical things. So physical changes because of spiritual growth are the best. Because there are different ways we can deal with physical disease. We can treat the physical symptoms. For instance, if there's pain, give you a painkiller. If you're nervous, give you an anti-anxiety drug. But all that did was treat the symptom chemically, the physical symptom, but it didn't deal with source. So even in the physical realm, maybe there's a diseased organ, and the science of the day would say, you don't need it, let's cut it out. You don't need that. You don't need an appendix. You don't need a spleen. You don't need lots of stuff. So you don't need 2 kidneys, just one. So we live still in a sort of medical culture of cutting things out, but dealing specifically with the physical condition. Now, what if the physical condition is because of an imbalance in the vital energy that's manifesting the physical structures? Then we would need to correct the energy imbalance, the disharmony in the energy, and then the physical manifestation of that would just spontaneously correct itself and heal. And so we've got things like acupuncture, Reiki, various energy modalities of healing. There are more and more sophisticated ones. Some are very scientific in their approach, that are simply dealing with the energetic structure and formation that is creating the matter, the physical solid stuff that we're dealing with. But it might be even deeper than energy. What if we correct the physical symptom, we correct the energy imbalance, but there's a mental block. There's wrong thinking. There's something programming in the mind or the subconscious that's creating again and again energy imbalances, and so it'll manifest physically one way or another. So you've still got a problem because we're dealing with it only on the physical level, the energetic level. So we deal with the mental level, new thought, and sciences like that of healing and wholeness. But what if it's not just our physical body, it's not just our energy body, it's not just our mental body? What if it's our karma body? What if it's ancestral? Something that we're still dealing with because of what our ancestors, our family tree was involved in, or our own karma from previous lives? What if it's even deeper than that? What if there's some kind of a block in the spiritual dimension of a person's being needing to be illuminated? So if you illuminate the spirit, it corrects the mental blocks and the mental aberrations, and gives the grace needed to resolve karma, which is going to change the energy body, which is going to change the physical body. So the best healings, I think, are the ones that start at the core and just flow out.
It's also the emotional and psychological.
Yeah,
This is a little different than mental.
well, but in
Yeah.
the Indian koshas, it's considered part of the
I
mental
know.
kosha.
But I think it's important to mention those two
Yeah,
because
it's huge.
our emotional feeling about our state of being and our physical structure is, and also not just mentally about how we're thinking about our physical structure and our day-to-day body interactions, but also psychologically. You know, do we have feelings about ourselves? Mentally, we could have programs about how the body works, you know, based on science and facts and data, but psychologically, we could be feeling, you know, we could be mentally doing affirmations, I am healed, I am strong, I am perfect. And then psychologically, we're thinking, no, I'm terrible, I'm horrible, I'm doing really bad.
Yeah.
And that's going to weigh on you, and that's going to activate your emotions, which will further cause an imbalance in the energy field.
This is an area where I prefer the Christian model to the Vedic model of the 5 koshas or 6 koshas. Koshas are the layers of the being. At the center is Atma, is the divine, and then the spiritual layer, and there are all these layers. In the Christian model, it's pretty simple. You've got spirit, soul, and body. Spirit is our pure essence, pure being. Body, we know what that is, and what is called in Christian theology the soul is the conjunction of the mind, the emotions, the subconscious, will, all of these things from our will and our intentions to our emotions to our thoughts is all part of the soul realm, which is this layer between spirit and the physical. And it's a little simpler to look at it that way. And the idea of soul opens the door to consider things like emotions and intentions. It's a broader concept than just talking about mind or the mental body, which you were saying. Yeah. Cool. Oh yeah, and it can go the other way too. The times we're living in, there can be physical changes because of
Environmental factors
and the collective consciousness. I think there were a lot of psychological and stress-related dis-eases that emerged during, for instance, the COVID pandemic, especially during the lockdown periods. So, sure. And then there's the actual, like disease and pollution and all of that. But also just the collective consciousness, which is, at this time, so divisive and so contentious really throughout the world. So definitely the times we're living in affect us physically as well as emotionally and psychologically. Maybe the good thing, one of the good things coming out of it is that in response to the difficult times we're in, more and more people are seeking spiritual illumination and liberation of their true essence, which addresses then every other layer of the human being. And Michael Christopher said beautiful quotes. Thank you, and you are so welcome. And also for the bowing hands and the smiley face. And let me check over here. Okay, I think we're good there. Any other questions? That was good though. That was very catalytic. And I'll just, since we're treading water for a minute here, in a similar way that spirit, whatever happens to spirit affects matter and energy. Whatever we do with our bodies can affect those inner layers as well, can affect spirit, which is sometimes overlooked. I think that the relationship of spirit to matter is sort of supreme in terms of if I hate to use the word hierarchy, but if there's a hierarchy, spirit is over all. But spirit and matter are one. If you study the Taoist arts, the Eastern arts that use the yin-yang symbol, there's an understanding that mind and body are one. They're not two separate things. Whatever you do with the body affects the mind. Whatever you do with the mind affects the body. Whatever you do with the spirit affects it all. And
everything's either one and connected or it's not.
but what we do with our bodies is less likely to affect our spirit, our essence, than the other way around. Because it's more conscious, it's more light, it's more powerful as we move from density of matter into pure spirit. But still, take into consideration that what we do with our bodies does affect our relationship with spirit. Which is why in the Christian scriptures it says your body, don't you know your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit? So, treat it with respect, make a nice temple. If your temple dies because you abuse it or something, what's the spirit going to live in? So, Michael Christopher, Kathleen writes, great insight. Thank you. And Michael Christopher says, how could you balance out the different bodies you mention to find healing? Well, it depends on what paradigm we're talking about. If we're talking about the Vedic paradigm of the koshas, there's work, spiritual practices that can be done that address each kosha, the physical body, the mental body, the bliss body, and so on. So there are mantras that work on those levels of the being that you could call bodies, but they're really layers of one being. If we're talking about spirit, soul, and body, again, there are spiritual practices that are particularly suited to balancing the spirit body, the mental and emotional bodies, and the physical body. Things like yoga. I love Taoist Qigong. I think Taoist Qigong and Taoist meditation, it's the purpose. The understanding of yoga in Taoism is the reunification alchemically and the merging of spirit, soul, and body into one thing that is all three of those things. Yes, it's spirit, but yes, it's physical, but yes, it is also, mental and emotional. So very directly, Taoist alchemy, yoga, the energy work of Qigong and Neigong work with that very directly. But we know that yoga does as well. And the purpose of Hatha Yoga, while you could approach it just on a physical level, is all about connection to spirit. It's using mudras and mantras and pranayama, properly understood, all that's integrated, and it's to bring the physical body and all the other layers of the being into harmony and focus with the divine presence at the heart of our being, which is, yoga means literally union, and it addresses all of the bodies and all the layers of our beings that we've talked about. Find what works for you. There are whole other systems. I remember Arika, which is a set of physical exercises developed by Oscar Ichazo, who was a student of Ouspensky and Gurdjieff of the Sufi tradition. And he created this whole system called Arika of 21 or 22 spiritual exercises. One of my Taoist brothers was one of the leaders in that years ago. And it addressed very much this same thing. And if we sat here long enough and kept talking, I'd think of a number of others of spiritual, physical disciplines that very consciously work to do exactly what you've asked.
It's also really helpful, too, to continue deepening your connection with the Divine Presence, because the more we learn how to sit in meditation and ask the Divine for guidance and for help, we will get more answers. We also have to learn how to listen to those answers. But you can, if you're having an imbalance in some area of your life, go within and trust in the Divine and ask the Divine. And just keep practicing it until you start to actually get some answers.
One of my mentors, so many decades ago, said, we need universities of the spirit to train the human spirit. This particular mentor said, we have all kinds of places you can go to train your physical body. There's a gym now like on every corner. But even back then, there were a lot of gyms. There are plenty of places you can go to work out and train your body. Easy to find. There's so many places you can go to train your mind, the mental realm, the soul realm. There's schools that will teach you how to use your will, how to master your emotions, how to train and use the mind. But where do you go to train the human spirit? I mean, that was why many of us flocked to India for a number of years to the Oneness University, because it was presented as one of those places where you could go and train the spiritual dimension of your being. There certainly are places out there. There are temples and there are churches of different kinds. But often those places have become more religiously oriented and into ritual and repetitive exercise than they are actually training the spirit to fly free. And I love it whenever and that's what our local spiritual communities can, and I think should be ultimately. Places where we come together and allow our spirits to help each other grow in the spiritual dimension. We're not here on Wednesday nights at our satsang doing push-ups and crunches, even though many of us could probably use them. We're not doing a bunch of affirmations and memorization and mental training, but my gosh, what happens in the spiritual dimension of our being? Well, you just got to come join us sometime. Anything else?
Nope, I think it's time.
I think it's time. Time for what, you say? Well, you know. Time to close your eyes, open your heart and invoke the presence. There dwells within you, at the center of your being, the entire universe. In particular, the divine source itself dwells within you, and you dwell within it. It's within you, but we exist within it as well. This presence is all-powerful, all-knowing, all-wise, and it is all pure, unconditional love. It yearns to make you whole, to illuminate your being, to flower your heart, to heal your mind, your emotions, and your body. It yearns to heal and make right your relationships in the world. Welcome and receive the grace that the presence is pouring out to you, within you, through you, all around you. Oceans of grace are pouring out to you. The divine knows what you need before you even know. Just open up and receive the flowering heart blessing. Let it embrace you and draw you into oneness with itself. It's so natural. No effort. Just let go. And the divine will draw you in and embrace you in oneness. Keep receiving. There's nothing to figure out, nothing to think about, nothing to do but just receive the light and the grace that is flowing to you right now. Now imagine all of us sitting in a circle together. Keep your eyes closed, but lift up your hands with your palms facing forward and invite the divine presence to pour the flowering heart blessing through you to all the others in the circle. It's flowing back to you through all of them as well. Let yourself be an instrument of grace. Now you can just relax, rest your hands on your thighs or your knees, and open your eyes. Begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me as we dive into the light meditation. Open eyes. Just keep looking at least one of our eyes, and the presence does all the rest. An ocean of grace floods our being and pours out to you through every fiber of our being, but especially through our eyes, the doorways of the soul. The light streams out of our eyes, in through your eyes, into your heart of hearts, causing the light, awakening, the flames of divine love and transformation to burn brighter and brighter and brighter within you. Just keep looking and receive, nothing to do. can close your eyes now. Meditate with us for a few more minutes as the grace settles with you. Now keep meditating as long as you like, or find a place nearby and lie in Shavasana. It's a wonderful thing to do. After spiritual practice, find a place to lie down on your back, nearby with your eyes closed, your arms loosely at your sides with the palms open, turned upward. And just let yourself dissolve in gratitude in the presence. We love you very much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Till we meet again, know that the divine in us beholds the divine in you, and we bow to you.